I'm now going to continue my video series on the review of Math Doesn't Suck by Danica McKellar. And in this particular presentation, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about common characteristics. So what does that mean? Well, the first thing I thought you should have done in your book, okay, and I'm going to do it here, and I'm going to see how many people comment on this on my video. And I was kind of hoping this is the kind of thing, instead of doing it in a book, you should have done this in a video, because the feedback would have been unbelievable. And I hope that you will do this as well as I have done this. Okay? So here we go. So, what would be the feedback if you asked the following questions? Let's say you do have a best friend, or maybe several best friends, or maybe just several friends. Maybe they're not just best friends, they're just basically friends. Do you and your friends have the following same characteristics? Let me ask you this. Do you guys have the same goals? Do you like the same type of sports? Certainly, I'm one of those people that likes track and field. I like curling. I like golf, where other people are like, they like football and basketball and baseball, that kind of thing. I have a friend at work that loves baseball, just loves it. Baseball's not too bad, but professional baseball just kind of bores me. You know, come on, he's running to the base. Woo! Okay. So anyway, okay. Now for your female students, one of the things you could ask them if they have the same fashion sense. That would be a good one. Do they participate in similar activities? Do they happen to have the same beliefs? Do they happen to have the same opinions on certain topics? These are questions that hopefully my audience will answer. And I'd love to see what their answers are. Okay, so we'll see how that goes. But why bring up common characteristics in friendships for a lesson? Well, I'll tell you the exact reason why this was brought up. It was because of common denominators. And what you taught in your book, not much disagreement here, except for one thing. I like the model of efficiency, okay? I like things like keep it simple, stupid. And that is an acronym I learned a long time ago. Now, for this, I'm going to go ahead and... Hold on, folks. Let's see. Stand by. Aha! Markers. I've always believed in markers and dry erase boards. So let's do this. So why are common denominators so important in fractions? Well, I'll show you why. If you're adding 1/4 plus 2/4, all you have to do is add the top numbers, because you're not adding the bottoms, you're just adding the tops. When you really need common denominators like this, because you have to add them up. Okay, so 1/4 plus 2/4 equal 3/4. Well, that's easy enough. However, what do you do if the denominator of a fraction is not the same as the denominator of another fraction? Okay. What about 3/16 plus 1/5? And this is where we have a slightly different opinion about things. This is where I say keep it simple, stupid. Okay? I'm going to show you the fraction here. 3/16 plus 1/5. How are you going to add those up? Remember, the denominators are not the same. So, how are you going to add them up? Okay. My idea is this. I just take the denominators and in computer language you use the asterisk or just a simple dot. But for those of you who are not so literate and not so computer savvy, you would use the letter X, which is the multiplication symbol, by the way. So you'd multiply 16 times 5. Well, 16 times 5 happens to be 80. (16 times 5 is 80. So, what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the numerator and the denominator of this fraction by 5. And if we do that, and I've got the figures right here, this is going to be let's see, 15. Okay. And then this one's going to be, let me show you that. And then this one's going to be 16. And of course, we'll wipe these out. And this is going to be 80 now. And this is going to be 80. So what you have is 15 over 80. And this is going to be 16 over 80. Okay? And so 15 plus 16 happens to be 31. (31 over 80). DM Gamings, how do you find a common denominator? Well, I'll explain that in just a second, so I'll be right. I'm doing a live stream right now. That's why I have two angles on this. So bear with me. Let me go ahead and finish what I'm going to say to Danica McKellar, and I'll get right back to you. Anyway, the thing is that if you do it the way I just showed you, which you actually put in your book, okay? If you do it this way, if you're going to run into a fraction that can't be reduced on this side, then you're done with your math problem. You go on your way. If you can reduce this, now would be the good time to reduce this. For instance, I have another problem here, and let me go ahead and get another marker because this one's not working very well. We'll take this marker and use it. Okay. Now then, we have this fraction right here. 2/6 plus 2/5. Okay? Now, even though you could probably find the lowest common multiple, you could do that. I say save the time. Okay? Just take this 6 and multiply it by 5. Because you can always reduce it later, and it'll be pretty obvious when you try to reduce it later how to do that. It really will. It won't take you 10 seconds. If you're trying to find the lowest common multiple of each one of these numbers, that's going to take too long. I really believe that. It's really going to take too long. So, what's 6 times 5? Well, that, of course, is 30. Alright? Now, you take both of these fractions times 5, or both the top and the bottom, so now you have 30 there, and you take that times 5, and that's going to become 10. And you multiply this by 6, and that's going to be 30, and 6 times 2 is 12. So now you have 22 divided by 30. Well, at this point, you can divide both of these by 2, and that becomes 11 over 15. And that's the lowest it'll ever go. like I said, I think it's better to do it on this side when you've done everything out, because otherwise you're factoring in a whole 9 yards, and when you're doing a very fast math test, the last thing you want to do is waste time, especially if you're taking an SAT or an ACT. I just don't believe in wasting time. So outside of that, I had no problem with that chapter, and I really just didn't think that there was anything particularly wrong with it, except for the fact that to find that lowest common multiple would string things out too long. Other than that, the whole chapter was just fine. So I give you kudos on that one. I do believe, however, that chapter shouldn't have been in your book so much as it should have been a video with a video response. You want people to answer you and say, hey, do you and your best friends have common... As a matter of fact, bringing up common characteristics like that is a brilliant way to cause people to remember how to do all this. You see what I mean? So, there you go. So, anyway, that particular chapter of the book, not too many things that I had a disagreement with. Good chapter. It's just that one lowest common multiple thing is just too long. It really is way too long. So it's too confusing, and I think we could do this a lot quicker. And that's the quicker way to do that. Just multiply the denominators, and then after you're done, then go on. Just multiply your denominators and then reduce your fraction at the end. Alright. Well, I want to thank you for watching this, and I will review more of your book at a future time. And for the rest of you who have been watching this, thank you very much for watching. I will tell you more in a future video, so stay tuned.